How's it, everyone? So the other day I was watching this movie called Chasing Mavericks, and it's a movie about surfing. It's based on a true story, and basically it's about this kid that learns to go surf one of the biggest waves in the world. And there's a very special moment in the movie, a moment that stood out for me. And as you can probably see over here, it's where Jay Moriarty is practicing to go surf this wave, and he's getting destroyed, he's getting plummeled. I don't know if that's a word or anything, but basically he's trying hard to face this certain wall, in this case a wall of water, and he's just getting destroyed and eventually gets sent back to the beach. And that's where his mentor is standing on the beach, Frosty over there, and Frosty shows him that if he just took a moment and stood back and assessed the situation, he could have gone past that monstrous wall so easily. And there's such a story to that, isn't there, on how sometimes we want to go attack these walls that we have in our own lives, just straight on, no matter how big, no matter how hard, because we might have some experience. I mean, Jay Moriarty, he was a fully experienced surfer, but he straight away went, I'm gonna go, and he tried it, and it didn't work out for him, and he didn't assess the situation, and he didn't use the tools that were there for him. So there was another guy in the Bible that had a wall in his life, and I'm gonna let you guys guess who that is. And to be honest, no matter who you guessed, you're probably right, because anyone that has a following of God is going to hit the certain wall, and if they don't take that moment to assess the situation, they're not going to be able to face it in the right way. But what most of you guys probably guessed, and that is Joshua. You see, Joshua had a much more physical wall. He had the Walls of Jericho. So what we're going to do is we're going to assess Joshua's situation. We're going to go look back, and I'm going to see how this can relate to your life. So let's go and let's look at the situation. We have the Israelites who are walking in the desert. You see, they'd been there for quite a while, and they had experienced the most amazing things. They had experienced the Dead Sea parting, so they can walk through it. They experienced getting fed every day with bread and meat, and get given water whenever they need it. They had miracles day by day that were so undeniable. Just try to put yourself in the situation when we go through the story over here. And they experienced the 10 plagues. There was just so much to it. So then we get to the situation, they're walking through the desert for quite a while, trying to find this promised land, this land of milk and honey, a place that God has promised to them. And we're going to read here in Numbers 13 verse 1. It tells us, the Lord said to Moses, send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites, for each ancestral tribe, and send one of its leaders. So basically they get to this place where they're finally going to get to the promised land, and there are 12 spies sent to go over the land. And what they find there, of course, is Jericho, among other things, but let's look at Jericho specifically. Jericho was one of the most insane fortified cities of that time. You see, if we're going to look at the stats, you can see that there's a 27-foot wide, 9-foot deep pit surrounding the walls of Jericho. Imagine like those sandcastles when you built when you were a kid, you know, when you put that little hole around it. That was how it really was with Jericho. See, the wall itself was 17 feet high and 5 foot wide of pure stone. If that wasn't a challenge enough, then they had the archers who were well trained. Once they got past maybe the archers, then they had the well-trained Canaanite army, one of the greatest armies of the time, and they were beyond the ability that the Israelites may have been able to come. Except we forget that the Israelites had God on their side. So let's look. Basically the spies go, they look at the land, they come back, and we go to Numbers 13 verse 27, and we get over here where it says, they gave Moses this account. We went into the land which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruits. The people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We saw the descendants of Anak, the Amalekites living in the Negev, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites, the South Africanites. They all lived there. They were all around there. And then they get to the Canaanites, who lived near the sea along the Jordan. Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we certainly can do it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we." And we spread among them, the Israelites, a bad report about the land which they had explored. They said, "The land explored devours those who live in it." All the people we saw there were of great size. We saw the Nephilim, who were the descendants of Anak, and we seemed like grasshoppers in their own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Then Numbers 14 goes on, and it says, "The people and all the members of the community raised their voices and wept out loud. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole assembly said to them, 'If only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. Why is the Lord bringing this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and our children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt?' And they said to each other, 'We should choose a leader to go back to Egypt.'" What the heck? Go back to Egypt? Had they forgotten the insane miracles that they had experienced? They had literal seas spread open for them. How do you think? Maybe I should just go back. They had experienced miracle day by day, being fed by God. And they looked at that situation and they're like, "We can't do it." Have they forgotten what God is there doing for them day by day? Have you forgotten what God's doing for you day by day? Well, let's read on. Then Moses and Aaron fell face down in front of the whole Israelite assembly gathered there. Joseph, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had explored the land, the spies, tore their clothes and said to the entire Israelite assembly, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into the land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and He will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, the Lord is with us, so don't be afraid of them." These guys had faith. These guys were able to look at what God does for them daily, and they were able to put it into practice. They were the only people, are the people that were experiencing God day by day, that had their eyes open enough to go, "Yeah, we can do it, we got God on our side." But the whole assembly talked about stoning them. They wanted to stone the only guys that had faith in God. They didn't want to accept what God had said to them, and they got to this land that was prepared specifically for those Israelites. God had promised them this land, and it was given to them. All they had to do was go and take it. It is like, imagine you getting a present that I'm giving you, and I wrapped it more than once, maybe, and you go, "I don't want this present, I have to unwrap it, that's too hard. You should just give it to me on a silver platter." These guys just wanted their land on a silver platter, and once they saw this wall, this insane thing that they had to attack, they didn't want to assess the situation and think that they have God on their side. They just saw this wall and they gave up. They wanted to go all the way back to Israel, to Egypt, where they were being enslaved. What the heck? What is the point? But anyway, so we're going to be moving forward to a point where now Joshua takes leadership. The Israelites have been walking through the desert for quite a while. Moses has now died, and they finally get into a point where they're going to take over the land of Canaan. They're going to take their promised land. And so we read here in Joshua 6 that, let's read it. "Now the gates of Jericho were securely barred because of the Israelites. No one went in and no one came out." You see, the reason these gates were barred was because the Canaanites had become so afraid when they heard that the Israelites were coming, because they had heard what their God had done for them. Coming into the land of Jordan, they crossed the Jordan River, which was split for them as well. And that was obviously just another miracle right there. And so these Canaanites heard, and they were afraid because they didn't have a God that would do that for them. And so we read on, it says, "Then the Lord said to them, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men, and do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark, and on the 7th day march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear the sound of a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout, and the wall of the city will collapse, and the army will go up, and everyone straight in." And guess what? They did exactly that. They followed what God asked them to do, and God followed on His promise. This was seemingly a hopeless situation, a wall that was impossible to take on. But they were able to do it because they had God on their side, and they were able to take a second to look back and go, I can do this because God has made a way. So what the point is that I'm making is that sometimes we are going to have this impossible situation, this wall that we don't know how to handle. Because sometimes we are either too stubborn or just don't take the time to go and pray or look at how we can get past this. We ignore the help that God has given to us, and we just go tackle a wall on our own, and we forget that we have God on our side. We have the Lord, the King of Kings, on our side. And if we look at our situations, our walls that we have to face, we are able to pass it anyway. So I want to leave you guys off with a verse, and that is in Romans 8 verse 37. And that tells us this: "For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor demons, nor present nor the future, nor any powers, nor heights nor depths, nor anything else in creation will be able to separate us from the love of God, and that is Jesus Christ our Lord." I hope that this message did something for you. I hope that you were able to look at the situation and come through in a different way. That you were able to use this and take a moment to look back at your monstrous walls that seem impossible and use God. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and please, it would really help if you shared it, as well as if you guys liked and subscribed. Please leave a comment if you have anything below, and I'll try my best to answer it. Anyway, my name is Tristan Paulson, and I'm a love for Christ.